Okay. Good morning. I'm Denise Smiler, Chair of the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board. I would like to ask everyone to please silence your cell phones and all electronic devices at this time. With 6 board members present this morning, I'd like to now call today's meeting to order. In addition to the 6 board members, we also have our ex officio members, George Augusto, representing Russell Redding, Secretary for the Department of Agriculture, Adria Zimmerman, representing Pat Brown, Secretary for the Department of Revenue, and Jennifer Langen, representing Stacy Garrity, State Treasurer. Thank you, ex officios, for joining us. As the first order of business, I'd like to ask everyone to please rise and join me in a recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance. We will now have the presentation of service awards for the Gaming Control Board employees made by our Executive Director, Kevin O'Toole. Kevin.
Good morning, Chairman Smiler, members of the board. Good morning, Chair Smiler, members of the board. Today, I'm pleased to continue the process of recognizing employees for their years of service. This is always an important occasion to recognize the dedication and the loyalty of employees who have clearly and significantly contributed to the success of our agency. We recognize employees on their 10-year anniversary, their 15-year anniversary, and their 20-year anniversary. I would also like to note that of the 376 Gaming Control Board employees currently on staff, 167 have reached at least 10 years of service, which represents 44% of our employees. So this morning, I have one employee, Colin McNamara, who has made the trip from out west to be present. Colin, please stand up. Colin McNamara, I would like to present you with your 15-year service award.
Thank you.
Not quite finished yet. That was quick. That was quick. I know you wanted me to recognize your mother, and so she's probably still watching through the live stream. So Colin was hired in September of 2010 as a casino compliance representative. And he's had a great career, and he's been promoted 3 times. In April of 2013, Colin was promoted to the position of casino compliance supervisor, and he was assigned to the Lady Luck Casino at Nemacolin. In June of 2017, Colin was again promoted to the position of casino compliance senior supervisor. And today, Colin holds the title of Deputy Director of Casino Compliance for the Western Region within our Bureau of Casino Compliance. Colin, congratulations. I'd like to shake your hand and thank you very much for your loyalty and your years of service. And I have a number of other employees to recognize, but I'm going to sit down and do it, if you don't mind. So I would now like to recognize 5 employees who have reached their 20 years of service. First off is Elizabeth Lanza. Liz was hired in October of 2005 as a communications aide, and in June of 2008, she was promoted to the position of Director of Compulsive and Problem Gambling within the Bureau of Administration, and she holds that position today. Next, we have Angela Yanisek. Angie was hired in August of 2005 as an administrative assistant. In December of 2016, Angie was promoted to the position of executive assistant for the Bureau of Investigations and Enforcement and the Office of Enforcement Counsel, and she continues to serve the agency in that capacity today. Lindsay Wanick was hired in August of 2005 as a clerical support specialist. In January of 2016, Lindsay was promoted to the position of clerk to the Office of Hearings and Appeals, and she continues to serve the agency in that capacity. Patrick Williams was hired in October of 2005 as a licensing analyst. In April of 2019, Patrick was promoted to the position of compliance manager for the Bureau of Gaming Operations and continues to serve the agency in that capacity. And the fifth 20-year service award is for Bill Kunkel, William Kunkel. Bill was hired in October of 2005 as a licensing manager. In April of 2007, Bill transferred to the position of casino compliance representative at the Meadows Casino with the Bureau of Casino Compliance. So moving on to our 15-year anniversary recipients, I'd like to recognize 13. The first is Christine Semoff with the Bureau of Gaming Operations. She is a compliance supervisor, and she was hired in September of 2010. Next, we have the remainder of the 15-year award winners are all with the Bureau of Casino Compliance. Frank Rivera was hired in June of 2010 as a casino compliance representative. Melanie Hannon was hired in June of 2010 as well, and she is a casino compliance supervisor assigned to Mohegan Casino. Frank Rivera is assigned to Valley Forge Casino Resort. David Greenfield, he was hired in August of 2010. He is a casino compliance representative, and he is assigned to Mohegan Casino. Aaron Zilo was hired in August of 2010, and he is in the position of casino compliance representative also at Mohegan Casino. Jill Fuge was hired in June of 2010, and she is a casino compliance representative assigned to Hollywood Casino at Penn National Racecourse. Stephen Niglio was hired in October of 2010. He is a casino compliance representative assigned to Hollywood Casino Morgantown. Douglas Mursky was hired in June of 2010. He is a casino compliance representative, and he is assigned to Presque Isle Downs and Casino. Lauren Spasato, she was hired in August of 2010. She is a casino compliance supervisor assigned to Wind Creek Casino. Elizabeth Coyle was hired in September of 2010. She is a casino compliance representative. She is assigned to Wind Creek Casino. Anthony DeLuca, he was hired in October of 2010. He is a casino compliance supervisor at Rivers Casino, Pittsburgh. Dolores Cameron was hired in August of 2010. She is a casino compliance representative, and she is assigned to Rivers Casino, Philadelphia. Daniel Campbell, he was hired in October of 2010 as a casino compliance representative, and he holds that position today. He is assigned to Parks Casino, Ben Salem. And moving on to the final category is the 10-year anniversary recipients. I have 3 to recognize. They, too, are all with the Bureau of Casino Compliance. David Lebensky was hired in July of 2015. He is a casino compliance representative assigned to Mount Airy Casino. James Rosado, he was hired in September of 2015. He is a casino compliance representative assigned to Wind Creek Casino. And finally, last but not least, David Karosky. He was hired in October of 2015. He is a casino compliance representative assigned to Wind Creek Casino. So I'd like to congratulate all 22 of the Service Award recipients and thank them all for their loyalty and their service to the agency. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. I would also like to congratulate all of you for your years of service to the board and to the citizens of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. By way of announcements, the board held an executive session yesterday, Tuesday, October 21st, to discuss personnel matters, pending litigation, and to conduct quasi-judicial deliberations relating to matters coming before the board. I would also like to announce that the board has scheduled a public input hearing relative to the license renewal application for Hollywood Casino York. The hearing will be held on Thursday, October 30th, beginning at 10:30 a.m. at the Township of Springettsbury Municipal Building located at 1501 Mount Zion Road in York, Pennsylvania, 17402. The public is invited to attend the hearing and provide testimony. Instructions on how to register to do that can be found on the board's website. Okay, I would like to now ask for approval of the board meeting transcript and minutes from the July 23rd, 2025 meeting.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board approve the minutes and transcript of the July 23rd, 2025 meeting.
Commissioner Dunbar seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Now we will hear from our Director of Financial Management, David Wren. Dave?
Good morning, Chair Smiler and fellow board members. I have two items to present today. First is a report of the first quarter budget expenditures for the current fiscal year, which ended September 30th, and a presentation of next year's budget request for fiscal year 2026-2027. Firstly, the board expenses for the first quarter of the fiscal year were $12,425,000. 94% of these expenditures, or $11,686,000, were for personnel, with the remaining 6%, or $739,000, for operating expenditures. Overall expenditures were down $47,000 from the first quarter of last year. The cause of that is fewer payrolls posting this year and timing differences in processing operating expenses. The payroll costs of $11.7 million for the quarter included $6.96 million for salaries and $4.74 million for benefits. Average biweekly payroll costs increased by $100,000 this year due to union negotiated salary increases and having more people on the complement. The largest operating costs included $286,000 for services, which includes consultants for IT modernization and our interagency billings, $183,000 for rentals and leases, and $104,000 for subscriptions and other operating expenses. Overall expenditures were fairly light compared to last year, and that concludes my report on first quarter operating expenses.
Anybody have any questions or comments for Dave on the first quarter budget report? Hearing none, you may continue, Dave.
Thank you. So for the fiscal year 26-27 budget request, the proposed requests are $63,557,000 for administration. This budget includes oversight of casinos, iGaming, and sports wagering, $475,000 for video gaming terminals administration, and $280,000 for the administration of fantasy contests. The administrative request includes $56,172,000 for personnel expenses. The budget includes salary and benefit rate increases consistent with union negotiated contracts and at levels consistent with those used by agencies across the Commonwealth. There are two scheduled union negotiated salary increases next fiscal year of 2% in July of 2026 and 2.25% in January of 2027. Amounts budgeted for specialized items such as overtime, retirement leave payouts, and shift differential are based on historical averages. The operating portion of the budget request is $7,385,000. This includes $2 million for the board's continuing IT modernization project to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the board and to streamline information gathering. The remainder of the operating budget is primarily for real estate leases, investigative expenses, hardware and software licenses, and telecommunications costs. These are the traditional cost drivers of the operating budget. The proposed budget would be funded through a combination of $8,250,000 in restricted revenue. This includes application and license fees and chargebacks of the gaming lab costs to manufacturers, and $55,307,000 in drawdowns from escrow accounts funded by casino operations. The video gaming terminal, or VGT, budget is $475,000. The personnel component of this budget request is $450,000, with the remaining $25,000 for operating costs, which will be used primarily for travel and investigative expenses. Finally, the fantasy contest budget request is $280,000. The request includes $270,000 for personnel and $10,000 for operating expenses. The costs for both the VGT and fantasy contest budgets are billed back to the respective operators. That concludes my presentation of the budget. I'd be happy to take any questions. Claire Yantis is also here to help me if anything is beyond my scope. And otherwise, I'd appreciate your consideration of a motion to approve the budget request for 2026-2027.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, may I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dunbar moves that the board approve the fiscal year 2026-2027 budget request as described by the Director of Financial Management.
Commissioner Huffman seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted. Thank you, Dave and
you.
Claire. Now we will hear from our Human Resources Specialist, Joe Bott. Joe?
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. The Office of Human Resources has one motion for your consideration today relative to the hiring of 2 individuals. Both individuals have completed the background investigation, drug screening, and are ready for presentation to the board. First, Olivia Adams has been selected as an investigative analyst with the Bureau of Investigations and Enforcement and is recommended for hire by Paul Morrow, Director of Investigations and Enforcement. Second, Elena Vergara has been selected as a Casino Compliance Representative 1 at Wind Creek, Bethlehem, and is recommended for hire by Greg Hazori, Director of Casino Compliance. Unless you have any questions, I ask the board to consider a motion to approve the hiring actions as indicated.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Huffman moves that the board approve the application for hire as proposed by the Human Resources Director.
Commissioner Manzano Diaz, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Joe. Next is our Office of Chief Counsel.
Morning. First before the board today, the Office of Chief Counsel has 5 petitions. Each of these petitions are being brought on the documentary record as there have been no objections or the requested relief has been agreed to. In each of these matters, the board has, in advance of this meeting, been provided with the complete evidentiary record filed prior to today. The first petition before the board today is Candle Lake Limited and Evolution US LLC's joint request seeking approval of a change of control. Evolution US LLC is an iGaming manufacturer licensee with the board. The ultimate holding company of Evolution US is Evolution AB, which is a publicly traded company in Sweden. Candle Lake Limited is based in the Cayman Islands and is 100% owned by a gentleman by the name of Kenneth Dart. Through holding companies, primarily Candle Lake, Mr. Dart has gradually acquired shares of Evolution AB, reaching over 20% ownership as of August 2025. This triggered a requirement of requesting the board for approval of a change of control. Mr. Dart and Candle Lake have complied with all the licensing requirements of the Gaming Act and the board's regulations, and now seek approval of that change of control, having previously received interim authorization from the board. The Office of Enforcement Counsel has no objection to this request, subject to conditions outlined in this answer, or in its answer, and this matter is now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Manzano Diaz moves that the board grant Candle Lake Limited and Evolution US LLC's petition to approve change of control as described by the Office of Chief Counsel, subject to the conditions that will be outlined in the board's order.
Commissioner Dermody seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Next before the board is a petition filed by White Hat Gaming, Inc. and White Hat Studios Limited, seeking approval of an internal restructuring resulting in a change of control of 2 board licensees. White Hat Gaming, Inc. is a Delaware company that provides software to iGaming and sports wagering operators in Pennsylvania. White Hat Gaming, Inc. is licensed by the board as an interactive and sports wagering manufacturer. White Hat Studios Limited is a limited liability company registered in Malta and is board licensed as an iGaming manufacturer, providing iGaming content to iGaming operators in the Commonwealth. The petitioners are both wholly owned by White Hat Gaming Limited, which itself is wholly owned by White Hat Holdings Limited. The ultimate shareholders of the various White Hat companies seek to restructure into 3 distinct branches of companies, each being headed by a holding company. The 3 entities were created to assist in effectuating this restructuring. 2 of the branches pertaining to this restructuring apply to gaming in Pennsylvania. Subsequent to the restructuring, White Hat Gaming, Inc.'s new parent company will be WHT Limited, while White Hat Studio Limited's new parent company will be White Hat Studios Holdings Limited. The ultimate shareholders of the White Hat companies will not change, nor will the management of these companies. The Office of Enforcement Counsel has no objection to the party's request, subject to conditions outlined in its answer, and both the petitioners and the Office of Enforcement Counsel have requested that certain information in the pleadings be maintained as confidential. The Office of Chief Counsel believes that request is appropriate, and this matter is now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves the board grant White Hat Gaming, Inc.'s and White Hat Studios Limited joint petition for approval of change of control as described by the Office of Chief Counsel, subject to the conditions that will be outlined in the board's order, and that both parties' motions to protect confidential information be granted.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next is Philadelphia Music Connections petition for removal from the prohibited gaming service provider list. Philadelphia Music Connection is a company that provides DJ and radio services in the Philadelphia area. Bob Pantano is the sole owner of the company. In December of 2012, Philadelphia Music Connection filed a gaming service provider registration application. Mr. Pantano was required to submit fingerprints as part of that application. He failed to comply with this requirement and follow through requesting that he do same, and consequently, the board placed Philadelphia Music Connection on the prohibited gaming service provider list effective April of 2014. In June of 2025, Mr. Pantano contacted the board indicating he now wished to complete the licensing process, including providing fingerprints and have his company removed from the prohibited gaming service provider list. The Office of Enforcement Counsel has no objection to this request, subject to conditions outlined in its answer, including Mr. Pantano's completion of all licensing requirements, and this matter is now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board grant Philadelphia Music Connections petition for removal from the prohibited gaming service provider list as described by the Office of Chief Counsel, subject to the conditions that will be outlined in the board's order.
Commissioner Dunbar seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
The next petition before the board is a request for removal from the self-exclusion list filed by an individual with the initials CH. On August 27, 2015, CH placed herself on the list, choosing the lifetime self-exclusion option. On September 5, 2025, CH filed a request for removal from the list, stating at the time she placed herself on the list, she just lost her home in a fire, was experiencing financial difficulty, and was staying with her brother, who pressured her to place herself on the list. CH further asserts in her request that she believed her prior gambling habits were an escape from issues that she was facing at the time, and that those issues have now resolved, and she has a good support system of family and friends. CH provided the required problem gambling assessment verification form signed by a certified assessment provider confirming that an assessment of CH was performed and problem gambling treatment was not recommended. Despite one violation of her exclusion in December of 2020, the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed an answer stating that it has no objections to CH's requested removal from the list, and that it's been over 10 years since her placement on the list, and she has provided all the required documentation, and this matter is now ready for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dunbar moves that the board grant CH's petition for removal from the casino self-exclusion list as described by the Office of Chief Counsel.
Commissioner Huffman seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
The final petition before the board is a second request for removal from the self-exclusion list. On November 17th, 2009, an individual with the initials DW placed herself on the list, choosing the lifetime self-exclusion option. On July 17th, 2025, DW filed a request for removal from the list, stating that it has been nearly 16 years since she self-excluded and that she did not realize that her exclusion would preclude her from attending shows and other events at casinos, both in Pennsylvania and in other jurisdictions. DW stated she placed herself on the list due to the amount of time she was spending in casinos back in 2009. On July 18th, 2025, DW amended her request to be compliant with the board's regulations and submitted the required problem gambling assessment verification form signed by a certified assessment provider confirming that an assessment of DW was undertaken and that no problem gambling treatment was recommended, and this matter is now ripe for the board's consideration, the Office of Enforcement Counsel having no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Huffman moves that the board grant DW's petition for removal from the casino's self-exclusion list as described by the Office of Chief Counsel.
Commissioner Manzano Diaz, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next, presenting withdrawals and reports and recommendations is Deputy Chief Counsel Chad Zimmerman.
Good morning, Commissioners. The next matter before the Board today pertains to several unopposed petitions to withdraw applications or surrender credentials of the following individuals and entities: Ryoshi Oshima, Daphne Guizard, Ardent Progressive Systems and Games LLC, Robert Gwynn Jr., Patrick Schmidt, Don Best Sports Corporation, Mark McMillan, Christopher Binham, Robertus Van Oyen, Darren Keeley, Kent Young, and Antonio Todorov. The Office of Enforcement Counsel has no objections to any of these withdrawals or surrenders. As a result, if the board chooses to grant the request, in every case it would be doing so without prejudice to the requester, and these matters are all now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Manzano Diaz moves that the board issue orders to approve the withdrawals and surrenders as described by the Office of Chief Counsel.
Commissioner Dermody seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next before the board for consideration are 8 reports and recommendations received from the Office of Hearings and Appeals. These reports and recommendations, along with the evidentiary record for each hearing, have been provided to the board in advance of the meeting. Additionally, the persons involved have each been notified that the board would be considering their matter today and that each would have the ability to come forward and briefly address the board. The first report and recommendation before the board is Benjamin DeAngelis. Mr. DeAngelis holds a gaming employee occupation permit and was employed as a surveillance operator at Live Casino and Hotel in Philadelphia. On July 23, 2025, the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed a complaint for emergency suspension of Mr. DeAngelis' gaming employee occupation permit after receiving notice he had been charged with 3 offenses of endangering the welfare of children in New Jersey. As a result of these charges, the board's executive director issued an emergency order suspending Mr. DeAngelis' permit. A hearing in this matter was held July 15, 2025. OEC appeared at the hearing offering testimony and documentary evidence. Mr. DeAngelis failed to appear at the hearing and it was held in his absence. Evidence presented showed that in August of 2024, Mr. DeAngelis was promoted to a supervisory position at Live, resulting in a submission of an application for a Gaming Level 2 employee occupation permit. During the board's background investigation of that application, it was found that Mr. DeAngelis had been charged with the 3 offenses that related to possession and dissemination of child pornography, which in Pennsylvania would be considered felony offenses. After OEC sought and was granted an emergency suspension, Mr. DeAngelis pleaded guilty to one of the 3 offenses, which renders him now ineligible to hold a permit. A report and recommendation was issued prior to that, recommending that the emergency suspension of Mr. DeAngelis' gaming employee occupation permit remain in effect, and this matter is now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board adopt the report and recommendation issued by the Office of Hearings and Appeals as described by the Office of Chief Counsel, and that the suspension of Benjamin DeAngelis' gaming employee occupation permit remain in effect.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next before the board is Stephen Lee's report and recommendation. Mr. Lee holds a gaming employee occupation permit and works as a table games dealer. On May 29, 2025, the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed a complaint for emergency suspension of Mr. Lee's permit after receiving notice that he had been criminally charged with felony offenses. As a result of those charges, the board's executive director issued an emergency order suspending Mr. Lee's permit. A hearing in this matter was held July 16, 2025. OEC appeared providing testimony and documentary evidence. Mr. Lee, however, failed to appear at the hearing and it was held in his absence. Evidence presented at the hearing showed that on May 8, 2025, Mr. Lee was arrested for traffic violations and a felony firearm charge which remains pending. Following a hearing, a report and recommendation was issued recommending that the emergency suspension of Mr. Lee's permit remain in effect, and this matter is now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board adopt the report and recommendation issued by the Office of Hearings and Appeals as described by the Office of Chief Counsel, and that the suspension of Stephen Lee's gaming employee occupation permit remain in effect.
Commissioner Dunbar seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion is adopted.
The next report and recommendation before the board today pertains to Sarah Pauley. Ms. Pauley holds a gaming employee occupation permit and worked as a table games dealer at Hollywood Casino at Penn National Racecourse. On August 2, 2024, the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed a complaint for emergency suspension of Ms. Pauley's permit after receiving notice that she had been charged with a perjury felony and 2 misdemeanor offenses. As a result of these charges, the executive director issued an emergency order suspending Ms. Pauley's permit. A hearing on this matter was held August 5th of 2025. OEC appeared presenting testimony and documentary evidence. Ms. Pauley appeared and testified on her own behalf. The testimony and evidence presented showed that in October 2024, Ms. Pauley self-reported to the Cumberland County Court of Common Pleas judge that while under oath in his courtroom during her divorce proceedings, she misrepresented the disposition of certain marital property. She later admitted to the contrary to her sworn testimony that she had sold several pieces of marital property totaling over $10,000. Ms. Pauley further testified at the hearing that she believes the felony will ultimately be dismissed and she will be permitted to enter into an accelerated rehabilitative disposition program. After hearing all the evidence and testimony, a report and recommendation was issued recommending that the suspension of Ms. Pauley's permit remain in effect, and this matter is now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dunbar moves that the board adopt the report and recommendation issued by the Office of Hearings and Appeals as described by the Office of Chief Counsel, and that the suspension of Sarah Pauley's gaming employee occupation permit remain in effect.
Commissioner Huffman seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
The next 2 reports and recommendations pertain to Amanda Henry and Robert Henry. Both of these matters contain the same set of facts, and I will briefly summarize the matters for the board and ask for 2 separate motions. On December 30th, 2024, the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed petitions to place Amanda Henry and Robert Henry on the board's involuntary exclusion list after being notified that the parties left their 2 children, ages 11 and 12, in their vehicle at Hollywood Casino Morgantown while they gamed. Both Mr. and Mrs. Henry requested hearings on the petitions. The hearings were consolidated and held July 15th of 2025. OEC attended the hearing and presented documentary, video, and surveillance evidence and testimonial evidence. Mr. and Mrs. Henry appeared and both testified on their own behalf. Evidence and testimony presented at the hearing showed that on June 2nd, 2022, Mr. and Mrs. Henry, who were traveling with their children back from Atlantic City, stopped at Hollywood Casino Morgantown around 10 p.m. The respondents stated that they had stopped at the casino to use the restroom and believed it was safer at the time to stop there than a rest stop along the turnpike. They left the children in the vehicle, entered the casino, and engaged in free slot machine play. Patrons noticed and reported the unattended minors to casino staff. Mr. and Mrs. Henry were approached by security and returned to the vehicle where they were met with township police. The children were left unattended for approximately 32 minutes. It was 62 degrees outside and the vehicle was running, and the children were left with a cell phone. No charges were filed. However, they were issued a 1-year eviction from the casino. Mrs. Henry admitted that she may have missed signs that were indicating that minors were not to be left unattended in vehicles. Mr. Henry testified that he remembered seeing signs of that nature at other Hollywood properties where they had gamed. After hearing all of the evidence and testimony presented, a report and recommendation was issued recommending that both Mr. and Mrs. Henry be placed on the board's involuntary exclusion list. These matters are now ready for the board's consideration. I would request a motion pertaining to Amanda Henry's report and recommendation.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Huffman moves the board adopt the report and recommendation issued by the Office of Hearings and Appeals as described by the Office of Chief Counsel, and that Amanda Henry be placed on the board's involuntary exclusion list.
Commissioner Manzano Diaz, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
I would now request a motion pertaining to Robert Henry's report and recommendation.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Manzano Diaz moves that the board adopt the report and recommendation issued by the Office of Hearings and Appeals as described by the Office of Chief Counsel, and that Robert Henry be placed on the board's involuntary exclusion list.
Commissioner Dermody seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next before the board is Van Tran's report and recommendation. On August 7th, 2025, the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed a petition to place Van Tran on the board's involuntary exclusion list. A hearing in this matter was held March 12th, 2025. OEC appeared presenting testimonial and documentary evidence. Mr. Tran also appeared and testified on his own behalf. Evidence and testimony presented at the hearing showed that Mr. Tran was involved in a cheating scheme while playing Pai Gow tiles at Live Casino in Philadelphia with a table games dealer and other patrons. This occurred in April of 2024. Specifically, on April 4th and 11th, 2024, the dealer would set aside tiles that were meant to be shuffled so that the players could memorize them. He would then fail to properly shuffle those tiles in and deal the tiles, so Mr. Tran was able to place bets based on the memorized tiles, resulting in him winning $9,975 to which he was not entitled to receive. Mr. Tran was criminally charged for his actions. However, he made a restitution payment in the amount of $10,000 and the charges were dismissed. Consequently, a report and recommendation was issued recommending that Van Tran be placed on the board's involuntary exclusion list, and this matter is now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board adopt the report and recommendation issued by the Office of Hearings and Appeals as described by the Office of Chief Counsel, and that Van Tran be placed on the board's involuntary exclusion list.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Next before the board is Jeannie Thomas's report and recommendation. On September 17, 2024, the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed a petition to place Jeannie Thomas on the board's interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list. A hearing in this matter was held on February 6, 2025. Ms. Thomas appeared and testified on her own behalf. She also presented testimony from her husband. OEC appeared presenting testimony and documentary evidence. During the hearing, Ms. Thomas requested more time to present additional documentation to support her position. That request was granted, and an additional hearing was held on July 17, 2024. Both Ms. Thomas and OEC were present and provided testimony and documentary evidence. The evidence and testimony taken at the hearing showed that Ms. Thomas had an iGaming account with Play Live, the iGaming platform used by Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Between January 9, 2022 and February 23, 2022, Ms. Thomas deposited over $7,300 in her account, withdrew over $4,200, and had a net loss of $2,954. During that same time period, Ms. Thomas instituted 82 chargeback transactions, 79 of which were resolved in Ms. Thomas's favor in the amount of $5,750. The other 3 chargebacks were resolved in Play Live's favor. OEC alleges that these chargebacks were made due to gambler's remorse. Ms. Thomas testified that after talking to others who claimed that a casino had overcharged them, she checked her bank account and noticed it was almost depleted. She also stated she noticed unusual activity in her PayPal account, which she had been using to fund her iGaming account, saying that the PayPal account showed duplicate transactions and withdrawals. Upon noticing these discrepancies, she reached out to PayPal and her bank, both of whom indicated they would investigate. Ms. Thomas further testified that during the investigation into the discrepancies in her PayPal account, it was PayPal who instituted the chargebacks on her behalf. Following the investigation, PayPal informed Ms. Thomas that she owed the account over $4,000, which she paid. Ms. Thomas stated that she believed that this resolved the issue and that she denied acting fraudulently or maliciously. After hearing all the evidence presented, a report and recommendation was issued recommending that OEC's petition be denied. The Office of Enforcement Counsel filed exceptions to the recommendation, and this matter is now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board adopt and result only the report and recommendation issued by the Office of Hearings and Appeals as described by the Office of Chief Counsel, and that the Office of Enforcement Counsel's petition to place Jeannie Thomas on the exclusion list be denied.
Commissioner Dunbar seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion is adopted.
The final report and recommendation before the board pertains to Gebrin Ragabir's request for removal from the board's involuntary exclusion list. Mr. Ragabir was placed on the list in August 2018 after he was found to be switching cards with two other individuals and capping bets while playing three-card poker at Sands Casino, which is now Wind Creek Casino in Bethlehem. Mr. Ragabir was charged with theft, sentenced to 12 months probation in order to pay restitution, which was paid in full. In January 2025, he filed his request for removal from the list. The Office of Enforcement Counsel filed an answer objecting to the request, arguing that Mr. Ragabir's petition should be denied based on the facts admitted in 2018 and his failure to pay his fines and court costs, despite restitution being paid in full. A hearing in this matter was held May 13th of 2025. OEC appeared at the hearing, and Mr. Ragabir also appeared and testified on his own behalf. He apologized for the incident and stated he was not familiar with the game in question, testifying that following the incident, he researched how to play the game. He admitted to capping the wagers, but stated he didn't understand what he was doing wrong with switching the cards, and the dealer never corrected him. Following a hearing, a report and recommendation was issued recommending that Mr. Ragabir's request for removal from the list be denied, and this matter is now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dunbar moves that the board reject the report and recommendation issued by the Office of Hearings and Appeals as described by the Office of Chief Counsel and Gebrin Ragabir's petition for removal from the involuntary exclusion list be granted.
Commissioner Huffman seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
That concludes the matters of the Office of Chief Counsel. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve and Chad. We will now hear from the Bureau of Licensing Director, Sean Hannon.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Today's first licensing matter for your consideration is the renewal of the interactive gaming and sports wagering operator licenses for Rush Street Interactive LLC. Formed in 2018, the company's principal place of business is located in Chicago, Illinois. The company operates online interactive gaming and sports wagering platforms to patrons in the Commonwealth. The Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement has completed its investigation of the company, and the Bureau of Licensing has provided you with a background investigation and suitability report. I have provided you with draft orders and asked the board first consider the order to renew the interactive gaming operator license for Rush Street Interactive LLC.
Thank you. Glenn Stewart with the Office of Enforcement Counsel, STUART. OEC has no objection.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Manzano-Diaz moves that the board grant the interactive gaming operator license renewal as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Dermody seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next is the order to renew Rush Street Interactive's sports wagering operator license.
OEC has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board grant the sports wagering operator license renewal as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
The next licensing matter for your consideration is the video gaming terminal operator license renewal for Shaw VGT Services Incorporated, doing business as Penn Games. The company was formed in 2018, and its principal place of business is in Colonial, New Jersey. The company intends to maintain and operate video game terminals on the premises of VGT establishment licensees in Pennsylvania. The Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement has completed its investigation of the company, and the Bureau of Licensing has provided you with a background investigation and suitability report. I have provided you with a draft order and ask the board consider the order to approve the video gaming terminal operator license for Shaw VGT Services Incorporated, doing business as Penn Games.
OEC has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board grant the video gaming terminal operating license renewal as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Dunbar seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next is the approval of a slot machine manufacturer license for Sega Sammy Creation USA Incorporated. Formed in 2016, the company is headquartered in Las Vegas, Nevada. Sega Sammy Creation USA develops, manufactures, and distributes casino gaming products and software. The company was granted interim authorization on April 4th, 2025. The Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement has completed its investigation of the company, and the Bureau of Licensing has provided you with a background investigation and suitability report. I have provided you with a draft order and ask the board consider the order to approve the slot machine manufacturer license for Sega Sammy Creation USA Incorporated.
OEC has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dunbar moves that the board grant the slot machine manufacturing license as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Huffman seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Also, we have consideration of approval of a table game manufacturer license for First American Bank Card Incorporated, doing business as Fabi Cash. The company is licensed in Pennsylvania in good standing as a slot machine manufacturer. Under the Gaming Act, the board may use an abbreviated process to consider the application of a currently licensed manufacturer. The Bureau of Licensing, Office of Enforcement Counsel, and the Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement have all reviewed the application for a table game manufacturer license for First American Bank Card, and I've provided you with the results of that review. I've also provided you with a draft order and asked that the board consider the order to approve the table game manufacturer license for First American Bank Card.
OEC has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Huffman moves that the board grant the table game manufacturer license as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Manzano Diaz, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Next, there are principal, key employee, and qualifier licenses. The Bureau of Licensing provided you with a proposed order for 7 principals, 16 key employees, and 2 qualifiers. I ask that the board consider the order approving these licenses.
OEC has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Manzano Diaz moves that the board grant the principal, key employee, and qualifier licenses as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Dermody seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
There are also principal and key employee temporary credentials. The Bureau of Licensing provided you with an order regarding the issuance of temporary credentials for 5 principals and 33 key employees. I ask that the board consider the order approving these credentials.
OEC has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board grant the temporary principal and key employee credentials as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Additionally, for your consideration are gaming employee permits and non-gaming employee registrations. The Bureau of Licensing has provided you with a list of 677 individuals to whom the Bureau has granted temporary or full occupation permits, and 248 individuals to whom the Bureau has granted registrations under the authority delegated to the Bureau of Licensing. I ask that the board consider a motion approving the order.
OEC has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board approve the applications for gaming employee occupation permits and non-gaming employee registrations as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Dunbar seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next, there's a recommendation of denial for 2 non-gaming applicants. The Bureau of Licensing has provided you with the order addressing the applicants who the Office of Enforcement Counsel has recommended for denial. I ask that the board consider the order approving these denials.
OEC continues to seek denial in each instance.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dunbar moves that the board deny the non-gaming employee applications as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Huffman seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
The next matter for consideration is withdrawal requests. In each case, the license, permit, or registration is no longer required. For today's meeting, I have provided the board 2 key employees, 22 gaming and 23 non-gaming applicants. I ask the board consider the orders approving these withdrawals.
OEC has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Huffman moves that the board grant the withdrawal of key employees, gaming and non-gaming employee applications as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Manzano Diaz, second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
In addition, we have an order to renew the gaming service provider certifications for Baldini Communications, LLC, Aroma Steel Erection Incorporated, and Richard Kendall Associates. I have provided you with a draft order and ask the board consider the order certifying these companies.
OEC has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Manzano Diaz moves that the board approve the gaming service provider certifications as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Dermody seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
And finally, for your consideration are gaming service provider registrations. The Bureau of Licensing provided you with an order and an attached list of 5 registered gaming service provider applicants. I ask that the board consider the order registering these gaming service providers.
OEC has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board approve the gaming service provider registrations as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean and Glenn. Next is the Office of Enforcement Counsel, Cyrus Petrie. Cyrus.
Morning, Chair, members of the board. The Office of Enforcement Counsel will present 13 matters today for the board's consideration, in which we will request the approval of 3 consent agreements, 2 revocations, and 8 involuntary exclusions. The next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is a consent agreement between the Office of Enforcement Counsel and Category 3 licensee Mountain View Thoroughbred Racing Association, LLC, doing business as Hollywood Casino York. That's a Category 4 licensee. The matter will be presented by Assistant Enforcement Counsel Mark Smith. Representatives for Hollywood Casino York are present, and at this time, I would request that those individuals please introduce themselves for the record, and that all non-attorney witnesses please stand and be sworn.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Alex Vizda, HVIZDA, Regional Director of Compliance.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Sean Williams, Vice President and General Manager, SHAUNWILLIAMS.
Stand. Get sworn in. Stand to get sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
So you may proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair, members of the board. My name is Mark Smith, SMITH, Assistant Enforcement Counsel, Office of Enforcement Counsel. This consent agreement pertains to a single incident involving an excluded person gaming at Hollywood Casino York. On March 26, 2025, an individual on the board's involuntary exclusion list was present at Hollywood Casino York. Immediately upon accessing the gaming floor, the individual approached the Penn Play Center and spoke to a marketing app activation ambassador and was issued a player's card despite an alert appearing when the ambassador entered the individual's information. The excluded individual remained on the gaming floor for approximately 6 hours. During that time, the individual gamed at 7 different slot machines using his Players Club card. Further, an alert was received by Hollywood York surveillance personnel each time that the excluded individual gamed at a different slot machine. The Office of Enforcement Counsel and Hollywood Casino York jointly request that the board approve this consent agreement and the associated settlement terms, which include a civil penalty of $10,000 and an administrative fee of $2,500 to cover costs incurred by the board staff in connection with this matter. Should you have any questions, we are available to address them at this time.
Hollywood York, would you like to address the board?
Just briefly, Madam Chair, been doing this 10 years. This is a new one for us. So when a person is added to either the self-exclusion list or the state involuntary exclusion list, my team goes in and updates our player account management system, which we call PenGen. For the state excluded individuals, it adds a giant purple banner that says state mandated or court ordered involuntary exclusion, and then it says applied in, and it says the state. So having done this so long and knowing that the average adult in the United States reads comfortably at a 7th grade reading level, takes instruction at a 5th grade reading level, we create a quick reference guide that has pictures of the banners and what you're going to see. And then assuming that people still aren't going to read, we do a 1-pager quick reference guide. What happened here was the app activation ambassador, he saw the purple banner and he misread the word mandated as Maryland. And because of that, he ignored the warning and created the account. When it comes to surveillance, at first they didn't have their program up that gives them the alert, and then when they did have it up, they went to confirm the state exclusion on the board's database, and they spelled his name wrong, and that's why it didn't show up there. So we do believe we have the robust appropriate procedures in place. This was, I don't know exactly how to fix the reading issue, but I can tell you that we took this very seriously. We made everybody in the marketing department go through this one by one with the leadership team, and we literally posted this at every single place where the marketing department goes. And Again, we haven't seen anything since then. We believe we've addressed the issue, and as you saw in the presentation, this individual got a second-level discipline, which was actually 2 skip steps. Next step would be a final written warning.
Any questions or comments from the board? Commissioner Dunbar.
Can you, again, run by me how every time they switched the machine, you didn't, there was alerts and they weren't?
So the accounts are alarmed, and in surveillance, the person didn't have that program up on their screen for the first 2 or 3 alarms. And then when the alarms did come up, they wanted to go confirm against the state's database that this person was in fact a state self-exclusion and wasn't an error in our system. And when they went to search the name in the state self-exclusion database, they spelled Jonathan with an H instead of how you spell Jonathan, and they didn't find the name.
Okay. So not having it on their screen, is that
That was
common?
also,
Is that an error as well?
that was an error as well, and we addressed that with surveillance.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Alex, would you like to introduce that as an exhibit?
I can, I wasn't planning to, but I can put it in if you'd like me to.
OEC says it's not necessary.
All right. There we go.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, may I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board approve the consent agreement between the Office of Enforcement Counsel and Mountain View Thoroughbred Racing Association, LLC, doing business as Hollywood Casino York, as described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Dunbar seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is a consent agreement between the Office of Enforcement Counsel and Category 2 licensee Stadium Casino RE LLC, doing business as Live Casino Hotel Philadelphia. The matter will be presented by Assistant Enforcement Counsel Juan Sanchez. Representatives for Live are present, and at this time, I request that those individuals please introduce themselves for the record, and that all non-attorney witnesses please stand and be sworn.
Craig Clark, Executive Vice President and General Manager.
Would you spell your name, please?
C-L-A-R-K, Craig, C-R-A-I-G.
Kevin O'Sullivan, Vice President of Gaming, Kevin Osullivan.
And Tom Deal, Vice President of Legal, and last name's Diehl.
Would you swear the witnesses, please? Thank you.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Juan Sanchez, S-A-N-C-H-E-Z, with the Office of Enforcement Counsel. This consent agreement involves Live Casino Philadelphia's failure to properly inspect a blackjack deck. On August 22nd, 2022, a Bureau of Casino Compliance representative assigned to Live Casino Philadelphia received a report that staff failed to properly inspect a blackjack deck after a dealer knocked 3 cards from the table layout. 2 of the cards fell to the floor and then were promptly returned to the discard pile by the supervisor. The remaining card, a king of diamonds, was lodged between the tote box and the table layout. The dealer did not find the missing card until the close of business, which resulted in 4 hours and 40 minutes of gameplay with a compromised deck. The dealer dealt 245 hands to 21 patrons, 6 unidentified, and shuffled the deck 7 times without properly inspecting the deck. The patrons lost a total of $11,457.50 while playing with the compromised deck. The Office of Enforcement Counsel and Live Casino Philadelphia respectfully request that the board approve the consent agreement and stipulation of settlement, which requires Live Casino Philadelphia to pay a civil penalty of $12,000 as well as a $2,500 administrative fee for costs incurred by the board staff in connection with this matter. If you have any questions, we would be happy to answer them.
Live, would you like to address the board?
Yes, I would. I heard Attorney Sanchez's review of the facts, and they are accurate. You heard a description of the error that took place with the dealer. The dealer was retrained accordingly. There was also an error, quite frankly, that followed with respect to the supervisor, with respect to logging the issue to help facilitate the repayment of the patrons that were affected, that were described during the period of play. We've looked into the matter as a human error, and it was trained on it accordingly. Currently, this would be something that, just as an aside, would be addressed by auto shuffling. I believe it was a blackjack, as you had indicated, it was a Spanish 21 blackjack. The auto shuffler would have caught immediately the fact that a card was missing, a light would have went off, and it had been addressed. We did not implement that because of this instance, but that's just something that's, with technology and gaming goes forward, that is currently implemented. In immediate aftermath, upon having this brought to our attention, we flagged loyalty programs so that we'd be able to ensure that we had ID verified payment when the patrons came back. We elected against dropping checks in the mail, because once we identified them, the employee or the patrons, because we wanted a situation where we didn't want to invite fraud, KYC issues, or privacy concerns. We just thought it would be a better practice to be able to confirm their identity and then pay them when they actually showed up on site. In this instance, however, because it was in 2022, this has been a while, quite frankly, some of the patrons just haven't come back. You know, some people have either moved, gone to another casino, and we didn't also account for uncarded play. So upon seeing the pace in which we were closing these accounts, i.e. making sure that people were paid and moving forward, we then implemented an internal report where we could track them. So in other words, we can follow up on a regular basis to see how effective our process is for closing the accounts. And that's something that we've put together. I've shared that with OEC so that there's been transparency on what's owed, who's owed, where we are at a current repayment process. And then we've got dedicated personnel within our gaming's operations administrative staff to follow up to, again, essentially ensure what our policy is, just to make sure that we do right by our patrons and that every one of these accounts is closed. Now, I've discussed specifically what type of retraining has taken place with respect to this instance, both with the dealer as well as the supervisor issue with logging. Our general manager, Mr. Clark, is here as one also describes some of the training in general that takes place live.
Yeah, so in addition to what Tom has gone over with this situation, obviously supporting our team members, making sure they're properly trained and making it fair for the guest, we actually have instituted a dedicated training supervisor in table games. This person is when a new team member arrives at our facility, they take them into like a mentorship role. So they work with them on their first day on the job. They walk through all of our policies and procedures and compliance issues that we need to follow. And then this person actually follows up with these individuals for at least a 90-day period going forward. In addition, this person would go back and train people that don't have a certain skill set in a game selection so they can move forward in their career and get more compensation for being more knowledgeable. And in addition, situations as described here, that would be the dedicated individual to go back and train the dealer, the supervisor, and the staff to ensure awareness and ensure compliance with the regulations of the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board.
That would conclude our presentation.
Any questions or comments from the board?
I have one, Chair.
Commissioner Dillon?
OEC, are you guys satisfied with the progress of of them paying people back and to that extent?
Well, I mean, at this stage of the game, considering that we only have, I think, a number of the patrons that weren't able to be not able to be identified, and there's not much more they can do.
Okay.
I would respectfully request that they move forward with contacting those patrons, getting legitimate addresses, and forwarding and telling those patrons that they would forward them the check in the mail if they don't come into the casino.
We would certainly have no objection to that.
Thank you.
Great. Any other questions? I have a question. I know you say you have these auto shuffles now, but from what I remember reading, at the time, anytime the card was dropped, it was supposed to be recounted, the whole deck was supposed to be recounted, and this person just didn't recount for the entire time of his shift? Is that what happened?
That is correct.
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
So you're saying this couldn't happen or shouldn't happen again because now you've instituted this auto shuffle thing? Okay. And what happened to the supervisor, if anything?
Was also, I believe this is accurate, correct me if I'm wrong, also retrained on the same issue. Now, obviously, his issue would not be the dealer's issue of dropping the card and reshuffling. His was ensuring that it was logged and recorded so that we could follow up more quickly with closing accounts and making sure the patrons affected were paid.
And verifying that the dealer did recheck the cards.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. If not, may I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dunbar moves that the board approve the consent agreement between the Office of Enforcement Counsel and Stadium Casino LLC, RE LLC, doing business as Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia, as described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Hoffman seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion's adopted. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is a consent agreement between the Office of Enforcement Counsel and VGT Establishment Licensee Vasas, Inc., doing business as Lucky 7 Travel, Sharanjit Singh and Michelle Singh. The matter will be presented by Senior Enforcement Counsel David Tepper. Representatives for Vasas and the Singhs are present, and at this time I request that those individuals please introduce themselves for the record, and that all non-attorney witnesses please stand and be sworn.
Good morning, Madam Chairman, members of the commission. My name is Paul Ryan. I'm an attorney from Lock Haven, Clinton County, representing the respondent here this morning.
And Mr. Ryan, would you just spell your name just for the record?
Last name is spelled R-Y-A-N.
Okay. And your witness?
With me this morning is Sharanjit Singh, also known as Sunny Singh, S-I-N-G-H. He is he, together with his wife, Michelle, are the sole shareholders of Vasas Incorporated, trading as Lucky 7. Mr. Singh is the president. Michelle is the secretary.
And could you spell his first name other than Sunny?
Could you spell your first name for us, please?
S-H-A-R-A-N-J-I-T. Last name is Singh, S-I-N-G-H.
Thank you. Would you swear the witness, please?
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Good morning, Chair Smiler, members of the board. David Tepper, T-E-P-P-E-R, on behalf of the Office of Enforcement Counsel. Vasas, Inc., doing business as Lucky 7 Travel Plaza, holds a VGT establishment license. Sharanjit Singh and Michelle Singh are the sole owners of Lucky 7 Travel Plaza, each hold VGT principal qualifier licenses. Establishments are required to have a board-credentialed employee on duty at all times that video gaming terminals are available for play at a truck stop. During a routine inspection on February 22nd, 2024, the Bureau of Investigations and Enforcement determined that video gaming terminals were available for play at Lucky 7 Travel Plaza while no board-credentialed employee was on duty. A subsequent BIE investigation found that between December 12th, 2023 through March 1st, 2024, individuals under the age of 21 entered the video gaming area on at least 6 occasions. These individuals ranged from approximately 3 years old to 15 years old. 2 instances involved 8-year-old children placing wagers at VGTs. Individuals are required to be 21 to enter the video gaming area or to place wagers at video gaming terminals. Lucky 7 had requisite signage to that effect. At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests that the board approve this consent agreement between the parties. The terms of the settlement include that within 5 days of the board's order approving the consent agreement, Vasas Inc., doing business as Lucky 7 Travel Plaza, shall pay an administrative penalty in the amount of $45,000. Michelle Singh shall pay an administrative penalty in the amount of $2,500, and Sharonjeet Singh shall pay an administrative penalty in the amount of $2,500. Also, within 5 days of the board's order approving this consent agreement, Vossas Inc., doing business as Lucky 7 Travel Plaza, Michelle Singh and Sharonjeet Singh shall collectively pay the board $2,500 for the costs incurred by OEC, BIE, and other related board staff in connection with this matter. If you have any questions, we would be happy to address them at this time.
Vossas, would you like to address the board?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the commission. Concerning the credentialed employee violation, it is my understanding that this occurred in the early morning hours at the licensed premises when the credentialed employee who was on duty became unexpectedly ill and had to leave the premises, which left the premises without a credentialed employee for a relatively short amount of period of time until Mr. Singh arrived for work that morning. Concerning the minors entering the gaming area, that appears to be an oversight on behalf of the licensee. And Mr. Singh is here to explain to the board what corrective actions the licensee has taken since the filing of the citation to attempt to alleviate these types of situations.
Yeah, we give more training to the employees license, and we increased more licensed employees, and we put doorbell at the entrance for the VGT so that as somebody enters in the area, at the fuel desk, it gets the doorbell. And we put a monitor like this at the same we monitor as that in the area where and we can my employees can always watch that area, the VGT area.
Mr. Singh, have there been any other violations since the filing of the enforcement action?
Since we did this corrective measures, there's none of those violations. It's working. Our new system we applied is working very well.
That's all we would have.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Mr. Singh or Mr. Ryan? I just have one question. When these underage individuals entered the VGT area, was there a board credentialed individual on the premises?
Pardon me, ma'am?
When the underage individuals entered the VGT area, did you have a board credentialed individual on the premises who just somehow?
No, that was when somebody was not there. I mean, they were there, but sometimes, we didn't have that doorbell system and the monitoring system that time. Now we have at the fuel desk, they can watch it and see it if somebody, and as soon as somebody enters, they have the ability to go and watch it. Before that, we didn't have that facility. That's why people, even if the licensed employee was there, he's working at the fuel desk, taking care of customers. So the attention is divided, But now, as soon as the doorbell goes, he looked at the people who is there.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, may I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Huffman moves that the board approve the consent agreement between the Office of Enforcement Counsel and Vossas Inc., doing business as Lucky 7 Travel Plaza, Sharonjeet Singh and Michelle Singh as described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Manzano Diaz, second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion is adopted. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you
very much.
Turn it over to Deputy Chief Enforcement Counsel Dustin Miller, who will provide an introduction for the default judgments.
Morning, Chair Smiler, members of the board. Dustin Miller on behalf of the Office of Enforcement Counsel, MILLER. The next two matters on the agenda consist of enforcement actions in which the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed complaints seeking the revocation of permits previously issued by the board. The complaint in each matter has been filed with the board's Office of Hearings and Appeals and properly served upon the individual named in each complaint. The individual named in each complaint failed to respond within 30 days as required by board regulation. As a result, the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed a request for default judgment in each instance and properly served the same upon each respondent. Therefore, the facts in each complaint are deemed admitted, All filed documents have been provided to the board, and the matters are presently ripe for the board's consideration. In each matter, we will provide a summary of the facts and make a request for the appropriate board action.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. Andrea Roberts, ROBERTS, Assistant Enforcement Counsel. The next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is the revocation of the gaming employee occupation permit issued to Braden Saradich. Mr. Saradich was previously employed as a table games dealer at Hollywood Casino, York. While dealing Texas Hold'em at Hollywood Casino, York, Mr. Saradich committed 70 procedural errors over 14 dates that all benefited one patron. In addition, Mr. Saradich returned a portion of a losing craps wager to the same patron. Hollywood terminated Mr. Saradich's employment as a result of these incidents. Mr. Saradich was criminally charged for his actions. He is not currently employed in Pennsylvania's gaming industry. At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests the board revoke the gaming employee occupation permit issued to Braden Saradich.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Manzano Diaz moves that the board approve the revocation of Braden Sederich gaming employee occupation permit for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Dermody, second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. Michael Rowland, ROL A&D with the Office of Enforcement Counsel. The next matter on the agenda is a request to revoke the gaming employee occupation permit of Cody Price. Mr. Price was previously employed by Mount Airy Casino as a security officer. The Bureau of Casino Compliance was notified by a local Walmart that a casino employee, Cody Price, had come to the store and portrayed himself as law enforcement. Mr. Price was dressed all in black, was carrying a firearm, and tried to enter the secure area of the store. When confronted, he introduced himself as Federal Agent Cody Price and advised that he was contracted by Walmart and permitted to be on site. Mr. Price then pointed to a badge on his hip. One of the Walmart staff members recognized the badge as being a Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board credential. Mr. Price was asked to leave the store. Shortly after departing the store premises, Mr. Price contacted store personnel and advised that he provided the incorrect badge and that he was at the wrong Walmart. Walmart reported the matter to local authorities. However, Mr. Price was not criminally charged. Mr. Price was terminated from his position at Mount Airy Casino for misusing his credentials and is currently not employed in the Pennsylvania gaming industry. At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests that the board revoke the gaming employee occupation permit issued to Cody Price.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board approve the revocation of Cody Price's gaming employee occupation permit for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Dillon, seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
The remaining matters on the agenda consist of enforcement actions in which the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed petitions seeking the involuntary exclusion of individuals who are inimical to the interests of the Commonwealth and/or licensed gaming therein. In each instance, the petition for exclusion has been filed with the Board's Office of Hearings and Appeals and properly served upon the individual named in the petition. The individual named in each petition failed to respond within 30 days as required by Board regulation. As a result, the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed a request for default judgment in each instance and properly served the same upon each individual. Therefore, all facts in each petition are deemed admitted, all filed documents have been provided to the board, and the matters are presently ripe for board consideration. In each instance, if the board orders the proposed exclusion, each individual's photo, personal identifiers, and a summary of the inimical conduct may be placed on the board's public website. Once again, in each matter, we will provide a summary of the facts and make a request for the appropriate board action.
Next matter on the agenda is a request to place Scott Faust on the involuntary exclusion list. Rivers Casino Philadelphia reported to the Bureau of Casino Compliance details of an internal investigation which revealed that 2 player service representatives were giving other patrons players' cards to Scott Faust so he could use the available free slot play. In total, Mr. Faust unlawfully utilized 7 different patrons' players' cards and played $3,159 worth of free slot play to which he was not entitled. Mr. Faust was not criminally charged by the Pennsylvania State Police. However, he was permanently evicted from the casino property. The Office of Enforcement Counsel now requests that the board place Scott Faust on the involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board approve the addition of Scott Faust to the PGCB involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Dunbar seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
The next matter on the agenda is a request to place Patricia Impagliazzo on the involuntary exclusion list. Ms. Impagliazzo's companion was seen giving a live Philadelphia hotel and casino executive host multiple rewards cards that the host then loaded with free play. Ms. Impagliazzo downloaded free play added by the host onto her card and one player's card belonging to another individual. Ms. Impagliazzo was not entitled to the free play. Live permanently banned Ms. Impagliazzo from her property as a result of this incident. At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests the board place Patricia Impagliazzo on the involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dunbar moves that the board approve the addition of Patricia Impagliazzo to the PGCB involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Huffman seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion is adopted.
The next matter on the agenda is a request to place Mark McLaughlin on the involuntary exclusion list. Mr. McLaughlin was present at Parks Casino when he inserted player cards belonging to other patrons into slot machines. Mr. McLaughlin had previously been permanently evicted from Parks for stealing free play from players' cards belonging to other patrons. At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests the board place Mark McLaughlin on the involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Huffman moves that the board approve the addition of Mark McLaughlin to the PGCB involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Manzano Diaz, second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
The next matter on the agenda is a request to place Barhi Sapalat on the involuntary exclusion list. Mr. Sapalat marked cards while playing Mississippi Stud Poker at Live Casino Pittsburgh. Live permanently banned Mr. Sapalat from their property as a result of this incident. Mr. Sapalat was criminally charged for his actions. At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests the board place Barhi Sapalat on the involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Manzano Diaz moves that the board approve the addition of Bahi Sapalat to the PGCB involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Dermody seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. Sarah Grudy, Groody, with the Office of Enforcement Counsel. The next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is the petition to place William Powell on the involuntary exclusion list. While gaming at Live Philadelphia, Mr. Powell took a voucher that did not belong to him. He was issued a permanent eviction from Live Philadelphia. In a separate incident at Rivers, Philadelphia, Mr. Powell was issued a permanent eviction for taking credits left on machines. Subsequently, he violated his eviction 3 separate times at Rivers. At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests that the board place William Powell on the involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board approve the addition of William Powell to the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board's involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. Mark Smith, SMITH, Office of Enforcement Counsel. The next matter on the agenda for board consideration is a request to place Siani Roan Griffin on the involuntary exclusion list. Ms. Roan Griffin was present at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia when she stole a designer bag worth $2,000 from the vehicle of another patron. Ms. Roan Griffin was permanently banned from the property as a result of this incident. At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests that the board place Siani Roan Griffin on the involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board approve the addition of Siani Roan Griffin to the PGCB involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Dunbar seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Again, Juan Sanchez, Assistant Enforcement Counsel with the Office of Enforcement Counsel. The next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is a request to place Edwin Reyes on the board's involuntary casino exclusion list and the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list. Edwin Reyes created an account on the Wind Creek Bethlehem Interactive Gaming Platform funded through $9,900 in deposits from lost and/or stolen financial instruments. Subsequently, he refused or failed to pay funds that he owed to Wind Creek Bethlehem as a result of his gaming activity. Mr. Reyes only gamed online, but he also entered Wind Creek Bethlehem Casino to withdraw funds from his interactive gaming account. Mr. Reyes' account was closed, and then the devices used to access the account were blocked by Wind Creek Bethlehem. No criminal charges were filed. The Office of Enforcement Counsel now requests the board place Edwin Reyes on the involuntary casino exclusion list and the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dunbar moves that the board approve the addition of Edwin Reyes to the PGCB involuntary exclusion list and the involuntary interactive gaming exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Huffman seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
The next matter on the agenda is a request to place Katia Taylor on the board's involuntary exclusion list. Katia Taylor and another adult patron left two 6-year-olds and a 12-year-old child unattended in the Hollywood Casino York parking lot for approximately 29 minutes to game at slot machines and table games. Hollywood Casino York permanently banned Ms. Taylor from their property. However, law enforcement did not file criminal charges as a result of this incident. The Office of Enforcement Counsel now requests the board place Katia Taylor on the involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Huffman moves that the board approve the addition of Katia Taylor to the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Sarah?
Commissioner Manzano Diaz, second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion is adopted.
That concludes the business of the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Thank you, Office of Enforcement Counsel. The last item on the agenda today is public comment. Is there anyone in the room that would like to address the board? Seeing no one, that concludes today's meeting. The next public meeting of the board will be held on Wednesday, November 19th, 2025, at 10 a.m. at this location. And now, may I please have a motion to adjourn?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Manzano Diaz moves to adjourn.
Commissioner Dermody seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned. You too. No, you're too busy looking at the clock trying to get out of here.